Hello everyone, in this video we're going to reassemble our case and then we're going to install our external cables. To get started, we have the front of our tower here and we'll put on our front cover. However, the front cover just had these locking clips on the side, so we just need to line it up. And all we need to do is push down in the corners. And now, the front case is locked. We've got our USB ports, our headphone, and our mic port. Also in the front here, we also have our DVD disk drive that we installed. I can turn this on its face. And now we can do our external cables. So for this part, I'll take off my anesthetic wrist strap. And I can take my power cord. And I can just slide the plug in here. And you shouldn't have to force any one of these cables as you install the cables to the back of your tower. I got a USB for my keyboard, in. Then have another USB, so this is my keyboard mouse combo. And again, we'll take a look at the alignment of the USB and plug it in. Also at this time, I have my graphics cable. For me, I have a DVI connection. The DVI is going to go to my white port here on my graphics card we had installed. So I'll plug that in. And then we've got 2 screws on that. We can just easily screw it until it's snug. You don't need to over tighten these. It's not going to fall out. Lastly, I have an audio cable and I have my network jack. I'll plug in my network jack to my Ethernet port. And my audio cable is green for my speakers out. And I'll plug that in my green speaker out port. Our external cables are installed. Last thing, we take a look at the side. It's still open. We need to close it up with the cover. With the cover, it's just going to slide on. You can see the slots here along the top that we're going to lock it into. I'm just going to rest it in. You can shift it and feel it to slide into place. And then there should be no force really needed here. Just slowly slide it forward. Then I have my locking screw. But I can just close that by hand. And then I can give it a little bit of a snug tighten. And again, we don't need to over tighten that. And now we're done. Our case is put back together and is ready to go. Thank you for watching our video. Hello everyone. Can you believe it? We're going to install the motherboard with the CPU, heatsink, and RAM into our computer case. Before we just place the motherboard in the computer case and call it a day, we first need to install the standoffs into our computer case. These standoffs will be used to secure the motherboard in place within the computer case. Some computer cases will have built-in standoffs, like mine for example. Others, you have to take each standoff and install it yourself. These standoffs are commonly small, and you'll screw it in using an adapter that comes with the standoffs. In order to locate the standoff locations, it is best to take your motherboard and practice placing it into your computer case. Step 1 is to align the motherboard in the correct direction by having our adapter ports facing out of the back of the computer case. So we'll take our motherboard, the motherboard is resting in the case. Step 2 is to locate the exact standoffs that are needed by looking at the screw hole locations. If you take a close look at it, we can shift the motherboard, then we'll be able to find the exact screw hole locations that'll be needed. Step 3 is to remove the motherboard and then screw in the standoffs at the correct locations. Since my computer case does not require this step, we're going to continue on. Assuming you've installed your standoffs, step 4 is to take our I/O plate, input-output adapter plate, and align it on the back of our computer case. This will provide adequate dust and airflow for our computer case. That's position the I/O adapter plate with the writing and ports in the correct direction. If you install the I/O adapter plate upside down, the motherboard won't be able to fit correctly. So make sure that it's correct. As you put the plate into place, give it a push in each corner and along the edges and to hear it snap into place. Take your time on this step as some adapter plates are plastic, while others are metal. They are possible to bend and or break. Now that the plate is installed, put the computer case back on its side for step 5, lowering the motherboard into place. That's finish installing the motherboard. The key of installing the motherboard is to put it into the case at the correct angle. As you place it in, we need to align the I/O ports of the motherboard with the slots of the I/O plate. If I pick up the case, we should be able to see it resting nicely. At this time, we can use our screwdriver for step 6, installing the screws into the motherboard standoffs. One by one, we will install the motherboard screws. Make sure not to install the screws too tight, as you don't want to crack the motherboard through excessive force. Don't worry about the screws being not overly tightened, as you have a good amount of screws to keep this motherboard in place. If you choose to upgrade your CPU or heatsink in the future, some gaming and high-performance heatsinks actually require you remove the motherboard and install a special plate to the back. Let's get started installing those screws. Now that all the screws are tightened, we are good to finish our build and continue on to the next video. Who knows? You might be removing your motherboard and installing it again in the future. Get your practice with us here for installing a motherboard into a computer case. Hello everyone. Here we get to install front panel connectors. This is going to include audio connectors, as well as power switch, reset switch, hard drive activity lights. So to get started, we're going to use a different board, just because the other board was more proprietary for a specific vendor. This will be better. To start it off, what we're going to see here is that down in the left corner, we'll zoom in on this in a little bit, we're going to have our front panel audio. And down in the bottom right corner, we're going to have our front panel connectors. So first, we're going to take a look at the front panel audio. So we have a zoomed in view of the front panel pins for our audio connector. And what you can see here is that we have 9 pin was missing. If it's not missing, that's just because it's a keyed slot. If we take a look at the actual connector that's coming off with a front panel that we're going to plug in, it's this. This is an HD audio connector. And the HD audio connector, if we take a look at the actual holes that's going to be missing, and the orientation for the motherboard. So all we need to do is slide this back onto those pins, and we'll have this up and running. So we've got our audio connector connected to our motherboard, and now we're going to move over to the front panel. So let's take a closer look at the front panel connectors on the motherboard. Here they are at the bottom right corner. What we'll see here is power LED, as well as hard drive LED, power switch, speaker, which is not your normal speaker. That's your errors and think BIOS and boot up issues, and a reset switch. What we need to do is take these connectors that are coming off of the front panel of our tower, and we hook them accordingly. Well, how do you know what goes where and what orientation? That's where you consult your manual. Bing, my manual is here. So you can see my diagram for how I need to connect these, and that's what we're going to do next. So what we'll do first is we're going to take the power LEDs, and that's going to be these two right here. And we'll take these power LEDs and I'll put them in the correct orientation. The corridor I picture, the positive one is going to go on the left to this pin, and the negative one will go here on the next pin over on the right. So I'll do that. And what you'll notice is there's a gap between those two, and that's okay. That's a playing slot. Again, it's keyed. Next, what we want to do is go ahead and do the power switch. That power switch is hiding underneath here. Here we go. This is the power switch. And the power switch is going to go right here, where you see the power switch on PWR-SW. Same thing for this. We don't have to worry about a positive, negative. We just need to drop this thing on that power switch. Power switch is installed. Next, we're going to do the reset. So we'll find the reset switch, which is this one right here. And reset needs to go on these two, as it shows in our diagram. The reset switch is now installed. And lastly, we're going to set up and do the hard drive LED. Hard drive LED, according to our diagram, is the bottom left corner. And our front panel connectors are now installed. So it's all installed. That's awesome. If you had any USB connectors, we'd pop them in and plug them straight into these keyed USB ports. It would be fine for those as well. My system does not have those for this motherboard and this case that I'm utilizing, so we don't have to drop those in. Now, take care and practice putting these connectors on, and make sure you take the time to find the manual so you know how to do it properly. You're one step closer to being an IT professional and doing one of the hardest parts of hooking up a motherboard inside of a computer case.
Hello everyone. In this video we get to install adapter cards. So first what we want to do is take a look at our case. And we need to take a look at what adapter slots we have. Inside of my case, we can take a look at the motherboard and a closer up. We have a PCI Express 16. Then we have 3 PCI Express 1s. So what we want to do is be able to pick out adapter cards that are going to be compatible with these PCI Express slots. Also, if you're wondering what this is a mini PCI Express. Think of wireless cards that you'd be able to install in a desktop tower. So let's get started. Step 1. We're going to need to find an empty slot, which we have right here. So what we need to do is take off the corresponding cover that covers that slot. To remove this cover, which is covering the slot, I have to lift up my tower, and we'll take a look at what I need to do on the outside. This screw here is holding on to those adapter card slot covers. It keeps them in place. So I can go ahead and I can unscrew that with my special torque screwdriver. With that screw out, we can actually take this cover. It just lifts off, and that exposes all the adapter card slot covers. At this time, I can actually take out this cover, and it just lifts off. I can remove it from the computer case. Now the adapter slot cover is exposed, and we're able to zoom back in and continue on. With that slot cover exposed, we can now install a PCI Express 16 card. I happen to have a PCI Express graphics card. It's a PCI Express 16, which we have here, which is the physical compatibility that matches that slot. Step 2, I'm going to align the video card into the appropriate slot in the motherboard, which will be right there. For step 3, we need to press down gently on this card to install it into place. Step 4, we need to reinstall cover. I will put my slot cover back on, and we will take our screw on our screwdriver. Thank you for watching. Our adapter card is now installed.